Jil, you were born in Holland in 1967, and when you were 15, you started working to help the economy and your family. How did that experience change your future?
Well, basically, at that time, I was quite obsessed. I had a big dream. This was because of a personal circumstance. When I was 8 years old, my parents divorced, and this was the typical case that my father left, and we never knew anything from him anymore. And some way, I was quite frustrated. We didn't have any money, so I had to start working. And I remember very well that because of this situation, I promised myself that I would be able to achieve a Porsche before I get 30. That's quite ridiculous if I think about it right now. But when I was 15, I really started working with that dream. But again, little by little, it was quite of an obsession.
But you succeeded. Before 13, you opened your own firm,
yeah,
this bus line. And you got your Porsche before you were 13,
yeah,
right?
I even was already able to buy my Porsche at 28, so it was a bit before that, a bit earlier. But what I did is that in the beginning I thought, okay, I just start working, I start studying, I did my economics career. I already knew quickly that I wasn't a great football player or a great singer, so I thought then I have to set up my own company. And I set up a coach line service. It can be compared with Greyhound between the cities Amsterdam, Paris and London. And it was quite successful. Within a little time I had 50 employees, 3 offices, and well, sold more than 60,000 tickets. And then, as my only goal was so individual, as soon as I had well, the cash, I already bought my Porsche. So I achieved my goal before earlier than I thought.
And what has happened with that company?
Well, as from that point, as my objective, my goal was so individual, was so material, I little by little forgot about my company. I made terrible mistakes. And because of my own fault, my company went bankrupt. I lost completely everything. It was even a personal bankruptcy. So the first thing I had to give back was the key of my Porsche. It was a terrible experience. But I also even lost my house, my suits. I lost absolutely everything. At that moment, I thought it was the end of the world because at that stage of my life, I really thought that happiness was about, you know, having this fast car and about making a lot of money. But I think the advantage was that I already had a small office in the States, and for me it was always remarkable that the Americans, they see a bankruptcy as a positive experience. Mm-hmm. I even met a couple of Americans who normally they even put bankruptcy on their CV, and this is something which in Europe it's hard to imagine. But again, it was, I think, a positive experience if I look back to it right now, because I made a lot of mistakes, but the normal thing is that you don't repeat these mistakes. So I think it was a good experience.
Was it then that you had to move from Holland and come to Spain?
Yeah, this is the moment that I moved to Spain, where I quickly well, achieved a good job. I was in the management team of a big hotel chain in Spain. And to be honest, I still didn't learn a lot, or I hadn't learned a lot about life. I think I did learn something about business. As I said before, made some mistakes. I think I didn't repeat them. But I kept on thinking that happiness was about having this nice position, nice car. I didn't have a Porsche anymore, but still had a nice car, had a very nice house. And until that moment, I never thought about helping other people. My life was just me and making money.
Although your bankruptcy seems to be the worst thing that could happen in your life, there was something else to come, which was in October 1998. What happened then?
My first daughter, who is called Monica, she was born with very serious brain damage, which was detected in the 7th month of pregnancy. Until that moment, of course, you cannot imagine what's going to happen afterwards, but I remember very well that the doctor already told us during pregnancy that there was this big problem. He even told us that our daughter would live only for a couple of days. Later on, they said it could be only a couple of weeks. They told us we had to be prepared for the most terrible situation. And this is a typical situation which you normally imagine that happens to the others. You never can imagine that this will happen to you. It's like a car accident, which you normally read in the press. But some way you always think this is not going to happen to me, until the day that it happens to you and your life changes completely. And that's what happened to me, because Monica, she is now almost 14. Because of this brain damage, she is seriously affected. So she is completely deaf, she is almost blind, she cannot walk, she's in a wheelchair, has the mental level of a recently born baby. If I put it this way, it sounds horrible, and of course it's a big problem in the family, but I dare to say that I'm quite happier now than before she was born. And I can explain that through many details, but I always want to share this point, that I'm even glad that she was born with this problem, because she really helped me a lot.
On behalf of Monica's treatment, you had to move from Barcelona to Barcelona. How do you remember the first years of Monica here?
The first year, especially in hospital, was very difficult because we only got very negative messages from the doctors. But on the other hand, I started admiring the people helping my daughter and other small children. They were treated at the intensive care. It was like something or someone was telling me, like, look what these people are doing for your daughter, and what have you done so far yourself to help. So I really learned a lot from all these doctors, nurses I learned to know during this process. And I really felt I wanted to be like them. It was like a sort of admiration I started feeling. And then when we moved to Barcelona, and it was after a year, during this year in hospital, Monica went from one miracle to the other. She really survived almost impossible operations, but she's still with us and she's quite okay. So she's kind of a miracle child. And then when she was almost 1 year old, they kept on treating her at small foundations. And there I got the same feeling, that I really, for me it was a very, very happy feeling, knowing all these people very closely, helping my daughter and other children. It was volunteers, professionals. And again, I really wanted to be like them, but I still didn't know what I could do in order to help, because I'm an economist, so I could not be a doctor from one day to the other. But for some reason I already knew that because of this experience I wanted to change my life, and I wanted to use my professional background and my professional experience to set up something, whereas I still didn't know what it would be, that could help many people.